Hey, Studio 108 community. Thanks for clicking in on following. I'm super happy to welcome my friend Nata. Natasha is here in the house. You may remember her from our breathwork experiences, really incredible shamanic healing and guidance through transformation experiences. This is her jam. And if you were there, then you know that we talked about her next steps kind of ideas around microdosing. And she's setting up to bring us a microdosing a new reality kind of a conversation workshop. Nata is in Toronto, so we are live streaming here, and yeah, and we're just really happy to have access to through the distance, through the ethers, and through the waves of spirit. Thank you for being here.
I love that. Through the waves of spirit. So beautiful. Yeah, thanks for having me, sister. It's always divine. I mean, our conversations are always so like thorough and deep and it's always like, oh, we should be recording this.
I
So
know.
here we are recording these
I don't
beautiful
even
conversations.
think we say hello. I think we just start.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I didn't even say hello back. I'm just like, blah, blah, blah.
Just dive in. Like there's no elevator pitch here. We just go right for the depth of the teachings. That's what I appreciate
Absolutely.
about you. Yeah, thank you for that space. It's always so nice to be received with someone. Then we can just go deep and talk about what we've kind of just transmuted over the last week. We were supposed to do this last week, and now we're doing it today. So it's just like, wow, what a rebirth. So thank you.
Wow, what a rebirth. Nada and I'll just tell our sacred secret. We had to start from square one today, even though we've prepped for this podcast a few times, because the energies that came through for each of us across the distance in our different situations, different ways for each of us, but really powerful streams of energy coming in this past week. So we had to like do a reset from the new you kind of spot. So we're here today with you. And I don't know, Nada, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I do. I want to talk about for that moment you were when I received your message, you're like, okay, the energies are clear. And I was like, holy shit, like, thank you. We're on the same freaking page. Like, literally, if you like last week, I was in this like dark shadow portal of like clearing ancestral and conscious, like, it was just wild, wild the energies that we were like experiencing. And like, this is why we need tools. This is why we need tools because we are going to be experiencing these energies. And then like, I don't know if I shared with you, but like the Schumann resonance, which is the heartbeat of the earth, it just did this like boom, and it created like these angel wings with this, like it was all white. It's never like that. We'll have spurts. So like the Schumann resonance is the heartbeat of the earth, and it usually ranges around seven hertz, right? It was jumping to like 36, 72, not, like all these like massive shifts in consciousness when you tap into it, right? That's why we feel this massive pressure to like, and you were telling me, like mirroring to me, like you're doing this deep shadow work and going into like all these unconscious things because it's like our light bodies are being cleared out. And it was so intense. And then to have like sisters on the path and this medicine path, and you're just like, oh, okay, thank you. I see you. I'm normal.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, we're all riding together, and then we have to like look around and say, you too. But I feel like this past week in particular, that my chakras are just being like scrounged out, like cleansed out and pulled out. And I think, wow, because I didn't sign up for a training. I wasn't doing a chakra clearing. I didn't sign up or pay for a Reiki session or appointment. I didn't quote ask for this, right? It's just the organic energies that are streaming through, and the way it's coming through is just, it's happening in the energy body. And I have some semblance of conversation around it. I can feel it and recognize it as this, but many, many, many people can't. And so the traumas and the confusion and the frustration and the angst and the anger and all of that is just kind of getting whipped around in the collective in a way that it's like, whoa, all of us, whoa, look around, we're all here. We're all doing our best.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that because it's totally that. Like, and it is, if people knew how normal this, what they're experiencing actually is, they wouldn't take it in and create pain in the body, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to carry it and hold on to it and then be like, okay, this is mine. I got to carry this. It's like, no, it's energy that's moving through us. And if we can just be this portal, and this is why this conversation is so like, poignant and needed at this time, is because these medicines are actually designed for these times, right? This is how we can go deeper to understand like to work with our own body, right? To like come into having interoceptive awareness and being like, oh, wow, I'm much bigger than this actual physical body. Okay, cool. And that's why I love this work. That's why I'm like a devotee to this work. So this conversation is just so graciously
Yeah.
needed. I feel.
Very aligned. I know you're
Mm,
using the word medicines, and when you were here previously, we had experienced some of the medicines that you work with. You were drumming and clearing us with sound. You
mm,
were working with breath and supporting us and facilitating different states of being through breath. You
mm.
brought cacao, ceremonial quality cacao, which is a
Okay.
plant medicine and a
Yep.
heart opener, right? So talk a little bit about like those kinds, and then we'll be ready to kind of segment into like a next tier of opportunities of healing
Mm.
tools.
Yeah, bless you. Yeah, so those medicines that you mentioned, from the cacao to even the smudging with the sage or the palo santo or the frankincense, and the drumming, these are all, have been a part of my initiatory path on this path to be able to hold space and to be able to navigate these energies that come in without needing to hold on to them. And so they come as like they come as a support ally. These are our spirit allies that support us. So they all have spirits, they all have connections, they all want a connection with you. So it's like I've been building my relationship with each of those medicines before I came to serve those medicines. And I call them medicines because that's exactly how they've served me in my life. And it's amazing when you have this tool belt. I mean, I worked under a beautiful woman who introduced the word transilience. It's like when we're moving through transition, we need the resilience in order to move through, right? Like we have to be able to stay on the waters when the waters get choppy and not try and hold on to the land, right? And so I use it as a sacred context of medicine work. That to me is medicine work. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
I love that. And we talked a little bit about the word transformation and then the words around new reality and kind of how that um, how we relate to words and what feels like it's time for this or it's time for that. What do you think?
Mm. I mean, look at nature. That's what I think. Like that's what I feel. I feel nature and that connectedness only came through my deeper empathic work to become deeper like empathetic and empathic to these spirits and to the spirit that's around us. That's like nature's always changing, yeah? Always. Trees are constantly changing, cycling. Some are dying, some are getting cancers now, which is so like hard to watch too. Um, but it's honoring that there is a cycle that we all go through and that we don't have to, in order to be able to transform and embody this person, this outlook of who we want to become. First we need a vision of where we're going, and second we have to be able to honor that, honor the past, right? And so that is the whole transformation. That's the whole ritual, right? It's rituals actually comes from the word like of rite of passage. It's crossing a threshold. So that's how I weave this into all my work. But it is deeply about becoming embodied through the transitions that we're experiencing. And we're all going to experience, unfortunately, loss in our life. We will. And we probably experienced so much loss in our life. And, and through careers and through identities and through relationships and through our own relationship with self and our own relationship with food, like all of these are just like this constant, as my mentor always said, like we're constantly bowing at the altar of impermanence,
And
right?
also, I think tied up in that, which is so reflective of the past and not a part, it's like this one idea isn't going to get through the portal into the new times. This one idea is just something that we have to grapple with. It's not going to make it through. And that idea is right, or I did it right, I did it wrong. There's a success or there's a failure. I'm good at this, I'm not good at this. Like those are really barriers, because what you're talking about is this open acceptance of what is and a willingness to flow in all shapes and forms, and an honoring of the full width of our humanity. And when we start thinking, oh, that relationship failed, or I'm not good at talking about my, like whatever it is, like it limits us. We're not going to be able to get through that portal where we want to find our sovereignty and our freedom and our joy and our bliss and our and our fullest.
Absolutely. The mind, right? This is the mind. This is where I remember after my first ayahuasca ceremony, I had a journal. I was like, I wrote the mind, period. Didn't write anything after that. I had nothing else to say, but I could just witness what my mind was creating of my actual reality, projecting onto me and everybody around me, with all the changes. You're either in victim consciousness or you're in victorious consciousness, and you can really, really actually see that a little bit deeper too. So it's
Yeah.
really important, the lens, to understand the lens that you're seeing the world through.
Yeah. Very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, deeper into
Do you have a moment to talk about your background and how you came to this a little bit?
yeah, oh, yeah. Wow, it's been okay. We talked about in the first podcast a little bit about my background, but I had an awakening super, super young, 11 years old. Had a near-death experience, which then led me on a path that I numbed myself to just I kind of went into the frequency of everybody else, because the gifts were so big. And then in my 20s, I had said to God, I'm like, oh, I need a change, and boom, car accident again. Boom, change. Here's change. Here you go. Be mindful of how you ask for things too. Words cast spells, so it's very, very important in this embodiment of this new earth energy that we're coming into, is to be very, very mindful of the words and the beliefs that you hold. And if you have beliefs that aren't, supportive, it's time to shake up the pattern, right? And this is where the segue will lead into psychedelics. So I had a lot of stubborn kind of pathways built into my brain. I was observing all my relationships, all the contracts that I had, past lives were coming up for me. Um, and, you know, it brought me, I was struggling. I was struggling. I was struggling to embrace what was. Felt so disconnected, but I was actually more fearful of my actual spiritual gifts than I was of anything really. And to come out as someone um, I've never called myself a shaman, but to come out with someone like a shaman, who can see at night, who can support and help heal others. And that's the wounded warrior archetype. When we work with that wounded warrior that comes out, because I was wounded. I was so heavily wounded and infiltrated with projections and societal programs and ancestral lineage wound. Like everything was just like whoosh. And here's Nata, like holding it all on her special little body that took everything and internalized it and manifested into dis-ease. Yeah. So like fibromyalgia. I thought I had lupus for a while. Then I was diagnosed with connective tissue disease. I was like, I couldn't absorb any food. Like there was like, you name it. I had a roster and I had two young children, So talk about an initiation in itself, and like almost dying with my second birth was another rebirth into this light. Like, okay, you're going to go through the darkness, right? This is the initiation. You go through the darkness. And I went through fucking hell. And then I came out, and I was like, as I was coming out, this medicine came into my life, and it came into my life at the most perfect time, as it usually does, right? When we're going through something so deeply like challenging and spiritual. I knew early on, like I in my 20s went the pharmaceutical way and took these drugs. And then I quickly tuned in, like, fuck, this is messing with me. This is messing with my pathways, from polycystic ovarian disease to taking hormones. Like I did it for like, I could not do it. And I told my doctor, I will heal this naturally. And he's like, well, you can't do that. And I was like, well, that's an interesting point of view. Thank you. And I left. I walked away. And I'll just kind of give you another like segue of how things kind of transpired. My son was born with an ear defect. And later I had asked God, I'm like, please tell me how, because I'm a curious soul. I want to know these things. And of course, you ask and you shall receive. I went to Sick Kids Hospital, and a woman approached me that was working there. She said, can I ask you something? And I said, of course, sister. And she says, did you take this acne medication? And I looked at her and I said, yeah, I did. And she says, I did too. And my son has the same ear deformity that he was born with. And I looked at her and I said, thank you. And I looked at God and I said, thank you. Thank you. Because we know in our being. And so that led me onto a deeper path of seeking truth, and this is where psychedelics, I was so riddled with this pain and the responsibility to carry so much grief for my ancestry, which I didn't even know about how much grief I was carrying for my ancestry, or the shame or the blame or the secrets or the genocide, everything, like everything that happened. And I was introduced to ayahuasca by a dear sacred soul in my life, who was a catalyst for my transformation on this journey, and it changed my life. It threw me into spiritual emergency, to be quite honest, because I didn't have the support nor integration tools. This is why I went down the path of integration and understanding the psyche and what we actually need after those ceremonies, and that we don't need that much. We can we can go micro. Ah, and then we can activate our breath. Oh, wow. And then we can journal. What? And then we can get all these in support of widening our consciousness. So it came through great suffering, to answer it now in a little bit of shorter way, and a desire to feel more deeply connected, not just to myself and to my body and to my womb that I was so disconnected from. Yeah. To everyone and everything around me, to the point where when I'm like, I'm going with my people, my friends already know I'm going to the forest. That's I'm going with my people, because we see each other, right? There is no words needed. We are here. So that's a little bit of kind of a segue into the kintsugi story, I would say, because I didn't always look at it that way. I had to develop neural pathways in order to support this bridge.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I think that there are some familiar elements in your story,
Mhm.
for a lot of people, and perhaps I would say more and more people these days, who are realizing and understanding and feeling the frustration of, what's really going on and how can I get help, and um, actually, like, it's not okay to not feel okay,
Or to not feel.
or to not feel
I
100%.
didn't feel. I
And
didn't
it's,
feel for years. For years, I didn't feel shit. I didn't feel anything for people. I just did not feel.
yeah, yeah,
You know, I said to my friend the other day, my sister that's staying with me, I said, I was like riddled with trauma and buried under Disney stories,
yeah, 100%.
because I thought someone was coming to save me.
Me too, me too. That was a good one. That was a clever one when they did that. They put it all over the TV and all in the books. Sold us tickets to that little one. And I think that there's more and more of an appreciation for the integration of the body, mind, and soul, and how impossible it is to separate that, and how impossible it is to heal unless you integrate it. Separating it isn't going to heal anything, and how we can really come back to ourselves in the fullness of all that we are. Would you take us to next steps then?
Just want to touch on integration, because
Yeah,
it's a
sure.
staple in my model, right? A
Mhm.
staple in my model. Anything that you're doing, you need to integrate it. You need to integrate it into your body. You need to integrate it to your psyche. You need to integrate it into your energetic field. And if we're not doing this, then we're not actually doing the work. And it's not just about going to pop another pill or going to drink another cup of ayahuasca at all. It's really not about that, right? Like if we look at integration, it like originates from the word integrare, which means to make whole, right? To make whole. And this is why I love shamanism, right? The soul retrieval, when we call those aspects of ourself back to ourself. Everything that we've given, where we've seeped our energetics, leaked everything out, now we call it back. That's integration. That's integrating this work and the wisdom that comes through this work.
Right, 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 right. Really powerful reminder. I know
Yeah.
when we left Mount Shasta and we're coming back, everyone on the retreat was like, how are we going to integrate this? And I'm like, stick together and do your
Yeah.
practices. And so, yeah, so we had like a plan for how to come back into our lives, and to weave this new insight and new understanding, these new energies and these new experiences into, the everyday. So,
Mm,
so much, gratitude for your wisdom and following your guidance in really keeping that at the top of your priority list.
mm.
Yeah, I think
Thank you.
it's probably the key to safety with these kinds of medicines as well.
Mhm.
Safety and, like, the efficiency, the effectiveness is definitely determined by the integration, you know?
Absolutely. Are you making yourself whole? Are
Yeah,
you receiving the wisdom? Are you actually sitting with your shadow? I don't work with anybody because we're doing shadow work. If you don't want to do shadow work, we can't work together, because
right.
that is how we actually release all that the wounding so that we can integrate into our soul body, right? So we can
Mhm.
integrate all those aspects of ourselves. But if we're not willing to go within, right? My ceremonies are actually called Journey Within because you are here to journey within, and you are held. I have you. You're held. You won't go way too far. You won't go way, but you'll go get enough exactly for what your soul needs in that moment.
100%.
So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
time.
Okay, tell us a little bit more. I know you've got the workshop
So I
on
know
Monday the
we'll just
20.
dis
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No.
No, I just wanted to point to the workshop on the 22nd is going to be virtual, and it's going to be an introduction, and then you'll
Mhm.
have launching opportunities from then too. But microdosing a new reality.
Mhm. Yeah. For those, and I'll touch a little bit about microdosing today. For those who are interested, and for those who are seeking deeper connection, for or navigating something really hard in their life, going through a tougher transition. That's what it is. Like it's about microdosing a new reality. It's not just about popping and going on to something else. It's about really how do we integrate slowing down, having slower mornings, doing things with mindfulness, being mindful of our presence, being mindful of our home. Like, what does our home feel like? Does it feel like the nest that we want, And I had a friend came over his first time visiting and he said, wow, this is like a multidimensional space. You're like a multidimensional artist. And I laughed and I said, well, this is an expression of my being and my family, like it's all of our pieces and nature and weaving. And that's what I hope to share in my teachings and my workshops is that embodiment to be in this body, right? Like
Yeah,
it's so easy to disassociate. Like, let's be in. And that's what the mushrooms taught me is like, let's be here. Because now I can see you from here and this angle. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know I was projecting that onto my kids. Ah, okay. How do I repattern this? Do, do, do,
yeah,
This is not just like go and flick off. And if you just,
yeah.
that's not these
We're not
teachings.
just
So
floating out there to have an astral experience,
no,
like
no,
an escape
it's
from.
easy.
Yeah,
That's easy.
yeah, yeah.
And so just disclaimer, what we're talking about is for educational purposes only. This is not to replace anything that you have, anything that you've been told or taught and or any of your medical advice at all. This is a conversation and also seeding my own journey and how it's helped me transform into the woman that I am today and to the space holder that I hold and also connecting me with super amazing beings like you, sister, like and so serendipitously and with ease and just we've always been in that flow, and that's those 5D relationships that we're actually an embodiment that we're here to embody. So
Absolutely.
thank
And
you.
I know I've never tried any of these. I'm like, well, first of all, Kundalini yoga, no drink, no drugs. It's just was always something that was how I was living my life anyway. So a lot of breath work and the plant medicines like cacao and sage and those things, teas. But so I'm curious because it's becoming a louder and louder part of the conversation, and because so many people are having extraordinary experiences around making peace with themselves, coming into greater creativity and understanding and integration and wholeness and healing. So that's, I really am excited to just bring the conversation to people through you. And yeah, you give me a lot of faith and confidence. So thank you. We have a little slow tech glitch, I think. There she is.
Yeah, I'm gonna just move closer this way. So just walk with me here. Yeah. Okay. In a different space. We needed some spaciousness here. So yeah, sorry, what was your last segue there?
Just that these aren't things that I've tried personally, and I just wanted folks to like know that up front, and that I'm just curious about the topic because of what we're hearing through the thought stream around the healing that's possible, the peace with the self that people get, the expanded creativity, the integration and the healing, that you've pointed to as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Um, Yeah, and we're going to hear a lot more because a lot more money is being invested right now into psychedelic research, and neuroscience research is really like they really ramped up on this. But there's also a double-edged sword there, so that's something I also like to teach about because I like to weave in the like the ancient wisdom as well. And
Mhm.
I love the neuroscience. Like I've become a neuroscience junkie in that sense, but we also have to remember the roots. Like we didn't have neuroscience before. We didn't need neuroscience because we actually trusted the intuition of our body and what we were getting in those moments, right? So there's been a gap, and it's just about like bridging you to your new reality of who you actually are. So
I know you used
plant.
the word ritual before.
Mm, Ritual to me is gosh, like, because life's a ceremony, right? And when you're actually like connected so deeply to life and all that is, you realize what a ceremony it is. And so we're going to go through things to grow through things. So if we can honor it in ritual, we can honor the capacity of the container that it holds, and then we can let it go. Not like being in a heartbreak for 3, 4 years, sometimes 30 for people, right? Because they didn't actually honor the ritual of it and actually do a ritualistic offering to the lands to take this from me so I don't have to carry this grief anymore, right? So I believe ritual is it's a staple in my work. It's equally as important as integration because it's all kind of, bringing us back to our wholeness. So I love ritual.
All
Yeah.
right, tell me what you've got for us on that Monday night on the 22nd. What can folks
Yeah.
expect?
So, it's first of all, I will bring in the neuroscience because as someone who was using psychedelics and really could see later the benefits when I created an integration model and studied integration for 2 years, um, I realized that, there was so much more I could offer people because I love the woo but I also want to support the woo because people are so scared right now. And so in this workshop you're going to get it all. You're going to get the neuroscience, you're going to get the woo, you're going to get see how it merges and how we can actually use this medicine. It's a medicine. It comes from the earth. It's natural, right? It's like there's nothing synthetic about this, and how we can use this as a catalyst to our healing and our embodiment to anchor the new reality of who we're actually calling in and remember who we are, you know?
Excellent.
Remember who we are.
Excellent. So it sounds like it's going to be a nice broad span introduction across a lot of different conversations around it.
Absolutely. We'll talk transformation, we'll talk psychedelics, we'll talk neuroscience, we'll talk integration and how to actually begin this process.
Mhm.
Um, and I even weave in like I have like slides too about like how stress actually impacts our nervous system and why certain pathways close. And then, and I like to talk about SSRIs because a lot of people are using serotonin uptake inhibitors right now, right, to help with their depression or and I've heard a lot of feedback after sharing this from women, especially. They're like, "Wow, I feel so numb. Like after I've been on these pills, I just don't feel anything. I don't feel anything." And I was like, "Wow, that must be like so hard to not feel anything. We came for the human experience to feel, right? We just weren't taught what to do with it after, right? But now they're just like, oh, just numb it." So we're going to talk about how we take, how what's the difference between taking SSRI and what's the difference between taking a microdose, like tiny amounts of mushrooms that don't cause you're not tripping here. Like there's nothing about a trip here, like subperpetual it's called, and how that actually impacts your natural ability to produce serotonin versus something blocking your receptor and telling you can't produce this anymore, but don't worry, we're going to put it in for you. So it's taking a natural process of the body and shutting it down.
Right.
So I'm going to talk about that. I think it's really, really important to understand that. And when you understand, like I'm very visual, so there's lots of pictures and stuff too. So when you understand how the mechanism works in the brain, it's more like this, wow, oh my gosh, really? And then of course, I'm going to also talk about why it was banned, like why were psychedelics banned in the first place? Very important conversation that's oftentimes bypassed, right? Um, I'm going to talk about, I really love Stanislav Grof. He was like one of the leading edge doctors in this field of psychiatry, and he was the principal developer of transpersonal psychology. And one of his quotes that I quote in the course as well is, "People feel that their sense of identity is breaking down, so their old values no longer hold true, and the very ground beneath their personal realities is radically shifting." Okay. So when we're in this precipice of change, as the planet is going through right now, we don't need more fear. We don't need more people telling us what to do we? No, we don't.
Oh, there's plenty, yeah.
If we can learn to like regulate ourselves and to actually tune in and to listen to the wisdom that's within us, right? This is why this medicine is so powerful, and this is why this medicine was so banned, right? Like this is why it came out as a CIA infiltration. This is what people don't know. The CIA was actually bringing this in for mind control, and they were testing it from the 1950s to 1970s. In the 70s, when they brought out LSD, and they realized that, oh my God, this is not working because now they're like this peace and love, and nobody wants to go to war. They made it so illegal, like this, with a drop of a hat. Nixon comes in and says, you know what? Oh, this is the war on drugs, and this is your brain on drugs, with the egg on the frying pan and what they were doing, right? So
Right.
we have to be able to be like, oh, wait, but yeah, okay, so we're connecting the dots. So I'm just giving you like little these like salient kind of touch points to be like, oh, maybe I should go deeper here. Maybe I should open up to this a little bit more,
100%, 100%.
So we're gonna go deep. And I'll quote also Terence McKenna, who was, he was an ethnobotanist and a mystic, and he was like one of the leading elders. I'm going to call him an elder in this space. And he said, psychedelics are illegal, not because a loving government is concerned that you may jump off a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally lay down models of behavior and information processing. They open you up to the possibility that everything you know is wrong,
Well,
right?
that is timely.
Timely,
That is
timely.
timely. And I really feel like if the world is going to shift the direction that we would like it to, it's like a personal call forward. Like each of us as individuals has to do the work to heal, do the work to speak up for what's important to us. And sovereignty is really the name of the game in this era. So I'm really happy to bring this conversation forward through you, Nata. I really can't wait to tune in on Monday, September 22nd, and we'll get it up on the website
Yeah.
ASAP so that folks can register and get it on their calendars.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
I look forward to it.
yeah.
And bring your notebooks and bring questions.
Mhm.
There's for sure things I'll know answers to, and then straight up that I won't, but I'll find you the answer if you need it. So,
Yeah, love
yeah,
that.
definitely come with an open heart, and there's many actually at the studio who are like, wow, I'm really looking forward to this. Like I really am like ready because
Yeah.
we're ready. We've
Yeah. And I
so
mean,
much. Yeah.
you can come and you can learn about it and decide not now or not
Yeah.
for me. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about sovereignty. You get to say yes or you get to say no, but at least the information is there, the conversation's there, and you have someone who respects the ritual and the integration and the personal connection that's required to really get the full benefit out of an experience. So thank you for holding that so beautifully. Yeah.
Thank you for holding the space that you do. I see you
Yeah.
and I honor you, and it's a lot to hold a space. And yeah, I'm like in service to spaces now too, like
I know,
bring
me too.
wisdom and help kind of usher this along because there's no need for us to be scared because people are like, well, I'm scared of magic mushrooms. I'm like, if you're scared of magic mushrooms, you are scared of the magic that's within you.
Right. That's what all fear, the root.
That's it. That's what fear is,
That's
right?
what fear is.
Confusion.
So we've got the link on the website to sign up for the workshop, and I've got all kinds of information on how you can reach out to Nata. You might decide you don't want to wait for the workshop. You want to reach out soon personally. Her email's dropped below, and she welcomes your inquiries. So don't hesitate. You've got a friend waiting for you. All right, sweetie.
Thank you, sister.
Namaste, and thanks for following, you guys.